This is the histology of the liver. Okay, so we're going to do intestine first.
Sorry, it's open?
I'm going to go down the line so that we can, I always tell you to learn this thing like you would a poem or the lyrics to a song. So if you forget something in the middle, you start at the top and you start to remember again. So I told you that the small intestine increases its surface area by several means. One means are the plicae, the circular folds, and then along the surface of the plicae, as well as the part that isn't a fold, are the villi. So here's a villus. Each of these finger-like projections is known as a villus, and notice that each villus has multiple epithelial cells lining it. Okay? All the little blue spots that you see here, those are mucus-secreting cells. They are generally known as goblet cells, because under the microscope they look like a wine glass. So these little blue things, if I point at that, you have to tell me goblet cells. All right? If I point to the whole thing, if I have a piece of tape with multiple arrows, it's a villus. All right? So multiple for villus is villi. Okay, so here are villi, and each villus contains a capillary net. See, that's the second item on the list, a capillary net for absorption of nutrients. Then we have an arteriovenous anastomosis. Wherever an artery goes directly to a vein without benefit of capillaries in between, that's called an arteriovenous anastomosis. And let's see if we can spot an anastomosis here.
On the blue part.
Right here, a vein and an artery, arteriovenous anastomosis. Muscularis mucosa. Now I told you when I went through this stuff at the beginning that the mucosal layer contains a very thin muscle layer as well, smooth muscle. Here it is. This is the muscularis mucosa. It's in the mucosal layer, muscularis mucosa. And you notice how it sends fibers up into the villi? Now, this is very interesting. The muscularis mucosa, by their contractions and by contractions of these fibers that move up the villi, that causes the villi to wave back and forth, so that as it waves, it moves material. Let's say there's stuff here with a lot of glucose, okay? So the glucose starts to move in, and now there's less glucose, so there's less of it moving in, but by waving back and forth, so it brings more glucose from out here close to it. So by waving back and forth, that contributes to the ability to absorb maximally. And on top of that, these fibers enable them to pump up and down. So you see how by waving and pumping up and down, you facilitate the absorption of nutrients. And that's the function of the muscular